Yes.
Generations are changing. The younger generations are far more tolerant unless they are taught in the home to not be tolerant. What can we, as the progressively older generations who have experienced a lot of the events that you've talked about, some of them that were not talked about, what can we do to address the needs? How can we get this planted in our hearts that this is the church and this is what we're supposed to do when we've got all of these things that happened in the past?
Okay. Now, everyone heard the question, how can the older generation basically address some of the outcry on the part of the younger generation? How can we get some of this out? I think, first of all, we got to know what our passions are. We don't need to try to do everything. Pick your issues. Whether the issue is women reproductive rights, you have a lot of energy over what's going on with immigrants, issues, racial reconciliation, and stick with your passion. Then leave the security of your church and your home and go out to where they are. One of the things that's got to happen is that, again, if they're not coming to us, we've got to go to them. And I've got this idea in my mind. I'm going to put a little button on that says, talk to me. We've got to engage one another. Because what I'm finding out is that young people are very focused. They're very energized. But I also know that when you look at the cycle of life, eventually that focus is going to be diminished when they start raising their own families, when they start getting jobs and things along that line. So right now, they have the energy and the time to be engaged in this protest. And I do think that we have got to find ways wherein we do it on a very small level. Because oftentimes we want to do it on a large level. We want the whole church to get engaged. The whole church, any church, is never going to get engaged in any issue. But don't let the numbers persuade you that it's not a legitimate issue. So we've got to start with our own passion and then try to identify and connect with groups that are following up on the same passions. And share your passion. Share your passion. I know some of you are very excited about things. You've been in this battle for a long time, and don't get weary, don't get tired, because oftentimes the results that we are seeking won't come in our lifetime. So we're working for something that's going to be the gift of our children and grandchildren. Yes?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think the book that you were referencing about
You speak out quiet.
It sounded loud to me. I just wanted to say that I think the book that you were referencing about slavery in Fredericksburg may have been Virginia Shade, the title of it. Virginia Shade, written by the gentleman that he used to host Yankees in Falmouth. Monteer Conway is the abolitionist house right there across from the River Beach area. He wrote the book, and it is absolutely a phenomenal book about Fredericksburg history. It's a really great book.
Well, actually, there's another one here. This one was written by a woman. A different story.
By Ruth Fitzgerald.
That's it, by Ruth Fitzgerald. That's when I was referencing. And what's the name of yours?
Virginia Shade.
Virginia Shade.
Little vignettes.
Okay. Yeah, because she became a historian of note in this area.
Yes, Ruth is very active in the community here, and leading a lot of the civil rights activity or being a part of that.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other questions? Any comments as well?
You mentioned that a lot of our friendships are formed in our churches, and yet we're, and I think that's true, but do you have any suggestions about how we can get our churches to be more diverse?
The question is, how can we get our churches to be more diverse? Actually, I do. It's a little controversial. I think more white people need to join black churches.
There you
I
go.
agree with that.
I really do. I want to say this. I think there's a hesitancy on the part of whites to be a part of a group where they're not the majority. And the evidence I find in several ways. One, you see African Americans who are part of almost every white church, or a person of color. First Presbyterian Church in Durham has probably 100 Kenyans who are part of that church. And I go to a lot of different Presbyterian churches, and I see black faces. I saw some this morning in the worship service. But I see very few whites who are willing to join a congregation of color. And I think that's important. I think one, it is going to be an experience that's where you have different cultural experience. But what's funny to me, now I say this in all candor, white worship and black Presbyterian worship are merging together. I go to more white churches now that sing spirituals than I do black churches. And you look at the call and response style of preaching, you know, that's what these televangelists are doing. That's a black style of preaching that they're doing, the call and response. And so worship is merging. It's just the people in the pews. Another thing is that I do think that we need to form partnerships with different congregations. And we all have a long history of that, where we will do something together. Church of Reconciliation, of majority white congregation in Chapel Hill, we're sister churches, church I formerly pastored. And every World Community Sunday, we would have a joint service. And we started out by leaving both sites and going to a park and would worship together. And then in the latter years, we've been going back and forth, where they would join us or we would join them on a given year. But we've got to have some intentionality in it. We also, one of the things I think is vital important, establish small study groups and meet in your homes. Don't meet in the churches, but allow people to come into your home and break bread together. It was so funny because I tried to establish this at Covenant, and you know what they said. Oh, nobody coming to my house. I got to clean my house up if they come by. But we've got to find ways to venture into each other's territory and each other's lives. And oftentimes, for real growth to happen, we're going to have to leave our comfort zone and go to where something else is. Yes?
I have a question. You were saying about how we need to choose something we were passionate about and
Yeah.
try to advocate. Well, I have a dilemma that I've been talking to a lot of people in the congregation. I'm an immigrant myself, and I feel like my call is to go and help all the immigrants, refugees, people who I know they are struggling right now, to advocate for them. But as an immigrant, in this moment and in this time, I'm afraid. I'm afraid if I go and I talk and I say what I believe and I try to help other people, my family could be in jeopardy. Because, you know, immigration laws can be complicated. So how do you advise me or other people to take action to help without putting, you know what I mean, your family in jeopardy?
Yeah, I think that's a legitimate concern, that you don't put yourself and your family in jeopardy by following your passion. Partner with people who have the same passion. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to necessarily be the person, because we see there's a real danger wherein the young lady got up, talked about her brother who had been arrested, and ICE came and got her. Allow people to protect you and to partner with you. But also, again, I said the thing that help you to feel like you want to do something, partner with those who can do so and say, look at the Presbyterian Church. The policies of the Presbyterian Church are very pro-immigrant. And when you look at we have public policy statements. So that's we have public policy statements on almost everything. When you look on our webpage for the PCUSA, our public policy statements on immigrants, we have a document called Strangers Among Us that deals with issues of immigration. We have the Gospel from Detroit that deals with issues of race. There are over 60 documents there. And what they do, they start out with a biblical foundation. This is why we feel the way we do based on the Bible. Goes to a theological justification for the position that we take. And then it has a rationale for our position. It states our position. And then it has strategies also about things that we can do on the local level. But I think that in every community, there are going to be people who are willing to be your voice for you. And again, I think that I don't want you to feel a sense of guilt because you're not doing as much as you want to do. But the thing is that one of the things I've learned, we don't have to do everything or every aspect, but make sure that you are, again, partnering with people who care. Because there are going to be people who hear you now who will come to you afterwards and says, I want to help you. Allow them to do that. I think Malcolm X made a big mistake in the movie Malcolm X when he was asked by a young white girl, what can I do to help you? And this is before he went to Mecca, and he said nothing. But, this is a black problem, we have to fix it ourselves. But then he went to Mecca, and the quote in his book is that he sat down with Muslims who were blue-eyed and blonde hair, and it changed everything. And from that point on, he became more of where he was willing to partner with other people, work with other people. But again, let the church help us work. Because I do think, we have churches that have become covenant churches. New York Avenue in D.C. is now a covenant church, where immigration is one of their top issues. And identify some of those churches, because they're not just Presbyterian churches. And they will have a lot of different activities. How we doing, Bruce?
One more question?
Okay, that was easy. I really appreciate the advice.
Thank you, Jimmy. I know Jimmy and I have connections with Presbyterian School of Christian Education and Union Presbyterian Seminary. I mean, their history is not glorious by any means, but two stories that come to mind. One is, Arthur Ashe grew up in Richmond, but he could not play tennis on the public tennis courts in Richmond. He played tennis on the Union Theological Seminary tennis courts, where they let him play. And then the March on Washington. There was a bus, I think, coming either from Georgia or Alabama, going to D.C., and they needed a place to stay. And they called several places in Richmond, all got turned down, including the seminary. But they called Charles Kramer, president of Presbyterian School of Christian Education, and Charles said, "Come on." And he had the faculty of PSCE and students making up beds, cooking breakfast, cooking meals for that bus load, so they could go on to D.C. Those are just two stories that Jimmy and I have from Richmond. But we will continue next week and the following week, and we hope you will be a part. Have a good week.